David, April, you can't see the live stream, can you?
No, just we can see us.
Okay, hang on for a second.
Okay.
Hang on for a second. Well, again, I know that you can hear me. This is Michael Anthony. I'm having a little bit of a difficulty with the video. So hang on there for me. Bingo. There we are. Great to be with you. Sorry for the glitch, but lost time. Don't worry about a thing. I want to introduce two people who are very dear to you, and I want to make sure they'll be able to give me feedback on audio quality and everything. Let me introduce to you Dr. David and April Humphrey, okay?
There you go. You're on.
Okay, can you hear us, Michael?
Can hear you flawlessly. How's my audio as well?
Doing well.
Hey, Team Ild Global. Boy, oh boy, it seems like yesterday we had Michael on session number 1 of the master classes, and here we are. Wow, it's like time has flown by, and we're ready to learn, ready for education. And I know that Michael is totally prepared and studied up in a miraculous way, and he's going to lead the charge here on this particular meeting. And April and I will be watching just like you're doing, ready for action, ready for cannot wait.
Get your pens and your pad of paper. Get ready. I know for us it's hot in Seattle, but Michael is on fire. So you guys are in for a treat.
You bet.
Let's roll.
Yes, guys. I'm super excited, everybody. I've got some serious echo in my earbuds, so you don't hear this, but I do. So I'm hearing myself twice. So as long as it sounds okay to you, I'm going to proceed and just dive right in here. It's okay. Give me a thumbs up if it sounds clear to you and there's no echo on your part, then I'm going to jump in.
It's a little broken up, Michael.
A little broken up?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Let's try this now. How's that? Is that any better, gang? Is that a little bit better?
That's better. You just need to be
all right.
Better.
Well, listen, I've got echo in my ears, but it won't be the first time that I've heard myself talk to myself. That's what this is all about, everybody. If you heard my head, you'd be like, what's going on? We're going to jump right in here because you are really important. So David and April, I'm going to take you off the screen. I'm going to get immersed. I'm going to bring you on at the end again, okay?
Thank you.
You bet.
Okay, we'll see you soon. All right, gang, great to be with you. You're going to be able to present your questions. I want to put this up on the screen here for you right away because this is vital for you. And let's see if I have it here. All right. I'm going to put it right here in the comments. Because we're having a problem with the tech issue. I don't know why. All right. I just put in the phone number there. 206-391-8019 if you have questions. I want you to be able to ask your questions. Those will go directly to April Humphrey, and then she passes them on to me, courtesy of Super Technology, and I get to answer your questions. Okay, I want to jump in right now because I have questions from last time that you guys asked, and they were so fantastic. I guarantee that you probably have a question, or you might have asked one of these questions that everybody else needs to have answered. You know, a lot of the basis for the way I've approached all this and the way I want to approach it tonight for you is the whole idea of kidnapping. What you don't realize, that I want you to begin to realize, is that you have been lured away and kidnapped multiple times in your life. You just haven't been paying attention to it. I was. When I grew up in New Jersey, I was 4 years old riding my tricycle with My older brother, he was riding his bicycle, which was an amazing feat for me because he had 2 wheels. I had 3. I needed 3. And we were on Macapin Avenue at the bottom of this long road where our house was up at the top. And I was at the intersection of Afterglow and Macapin Avenue. And by the way, I'm not reading anything. I was at the intersection of Afterglow Way and Macapin Avenue on my 3-wheeler, my little tricycle. And I was going up and down this road, and I was getting ready to make a right-hand turn to go back up to meet my brother. We were laughing, having a great time. And just as I made the right-hand turn to go up, this light baby blue car with the fins by the trunk, pulled up, and there was a guy wearing dark glasses. I would say they looked like Ray-Bans as far as what I remember. Swung open the door, and he said, "Hey, little boy, do you want some candy?" And I don't know what happened exactly immediately, but I know that I ran away. A couple of days later, I was doing the exact same thing with my brother. He again was at the top of the hill. I was at the bottom at Afterglow Way and Macapin Avenue. Same exact car pulled up, same exact guy wearing dark glasses, but this time he had a passenger with him. And the passenger was not in the front seat. The passenger was in the back seat. The guy swung open the door, and when he swung open the door, on the passenger side of where he was sitting, there was a nickel-plated, like a silver revolver. And the guy said, "Get in the car." Somehow I ran away again. This time, the neighbors told my mom and my dad what had happened because for some reason I never told them what happened the first time. You're 4 years old. You don't necessarily know everything that's going on in life. The neighbors told my mom and dad. A couple of days later, I kid you not, in the back of our house, the same guy is walking around with a big yellow sack. I don't know why it was yellow. I just know it was yellow, big enough to carry somebody my size. My mother called the police. The police came. I sat on the corner of Hillcrest Boulevard and Macapin Drive and identified the guy. They took him away. Not long after that, we moved to the farmette where I spent the rest of my childhood, where I grew up. I wish that I could say those were the only luring, kidnapping attempts against me in my life. I can't say that. There have been so many luring and kidnapping attempts against me that I actually lost track. Sometimes I escaped. Most of the time, I was lured away and abducted. And I'm not talking about by somebody with a baby blue car, dark glasses, with a revolver, nobody offering me candy. And I'm actually not even talking about just myself. You have been lured away, abducted, kidnapped from your greatest potential in life, time and time and time again. And what tonight is about, what the last masterclass was about, what the next masterclass is going to be about, is helping you break free. Because the worst type of luring and kidnapping is the one that you don't realize has occurred. Can you identify with that at all? Give me a thumbs up if you can identify with that, if that resonates with you. What I'm talking about is the stinking thinking and the underlying beliefs that your thoughts come from. We're going to talk about that some tonight. And the emotions that are the result. These are the reasons why, no matter what level of success you have in your relationships, your health and fitness, specifically your business, because, right, this is about international leadership development. Whatever level of success you're at, it is a reflection of the degree to which and the frequency of you're being kidnapped. By the time we're done in our time tonight, you're going to have a much clearer idea of how easily you're lured away, how frequent those kidnappings occur, and perhaps how you are significantly locked up, imprisoned, and you need to break free. So let me say this at the beginning, and then I want to get to some of your questions from our last time together. Are you tracking with me? Are you tracking with me? Give me some love if you wouldn't mind. I'm looking at the chat section, the comments section. Let me know if this is connecting with you, okay? Because I appreciate the feedback. Before I get to some of your questions, and again, I want you to be able to ask your questions. Go up to my comment where I provided April's phone number, okay? Which, remember I provided April's phone number, which I'm going to say it again here. Let me pull it up on my screen here. If you have a question or something that you need to have me clarify, text your question to April 206-391-8019. 206-391-8019. I'll say it again, 206-391-8019. And April will then forward that to me, okay? So before we get into the questions, 7 areas of life. Each one of these can be an area where you've been kidnapped. You believe you have self-limiting, false, self-sabotaging beliefs. They are causing thoughts that reinforce those beliefs, keep you in that prison. They get manifest, and I mean it in the literal sense. They come out in your emotional state, how you feel, and that has everything to do with the actions that you are or you are not taking. The things that you do are a reflection of what you feel. Whether we like it or not, we do things based on how they make us feel, right? We avoid pain, we gravitate toward comfort, we gravitate toward things that make us happy, things that numb pain, things that make us feel good. That's the way it works. 7 areas of life: relationships, health and fitness, spiritual life, finances, your career. This has everything to do with ILD, your education, and your rest and your recreation. These 7 areas of life are a great way for you to look at, have I been kidnapped in my relationships? Is my relationship with my spouse not the way it should be? Do I think negative things about my spouse? Or my significant other? Do I believe things about being unlovable, incapable of loving, incapable of having the kind of life that I want? You see where I'm going with this? The same thing is true with your health and your fitness. And by the way, I have lost in my lifetime thousands of pounds. I have also gained every one of them back. Can you identify with that? We overeat, we undereat, we eat foods we shouldn't eat because of our belief system and the thoughts that reinforce those beliefs and the emotions that come from them. Comfort food, right? We call it comfort food because it releases dopamine, makes us feel a certain way, and we go down a rabbit trail. So seven areas of life, write them down. This will help you identify long after our time tonight of an area or areas of your life where you might have been kidnapped. Relationships, health and fitness, your spiritual life. You might feel far from the architect, for example. Your finances. It's a big area. Your relationship with money, your finances. Your career. Many of you I know are in that in-between state where you're working part-time or you're working full-time and you're trying to transition and get yourself to where everything that we talk about with ILD is something that you want to materialize. You want to just cut loose and you want to just go for it with everything you've got. I know next weekend is a really big weekend for you as well, and I wish I could be there with you. You're going to have a fantastic time. David and April were telling me about one of the keynotes that's going to be there for you guys. It's going to be a fantastic time. Your career, your education, the things that you're listening to, right? The things that you're reading with ILD, for example. These are people who are experts who are sharing their life experiences with you. And then rest and recreation. One of the ways you can tell if you've been kidnapped, lured away, is Do you work when you're supposed to play? Do you play when you're supposed to work? Do you play at your work? Do you fantasize about doing something else? It's a good litmus test for, or evidence for, being lured away. If you're fantasizing about being someplace else when you are where you are, it's a good indicator. It's a good indicator that you may have been kidnapped. Okay. So those are the 7 areas of life that I want to bring your attention. A couple things that I want to present to you from the questions, from Respond here, and then I want to be able to entertain your questions. And I want to talk about beliefs, thoughts, and emotions. I do want to say, before I get any further too, that I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not giving you health advice. I'm not presenting myself as a doctor or a healthcare provider. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm sharing from my own stories and my own life as somebody who was literally, there were luring and kidnapping attempts against me, as I shared with you, and somebody who has struggled with my belief system and my thought life and my emotions and the behaviors that result from them all through my life. And I shared last time on our first masterclass how I'd come to the end of my rope and did not want to live anymore. I realized that I had to do something different. This is what led me to do a deep dive into neuroplasticity and the mind, the mindset, the connection between beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Okay? Now, there's a lot of talk these days about manifesting, right? And manifesting is one of those words where it actually means something that appears, something that presents itself to you. There are a lot of people who believe that if they simply do enough affirmations, they have a strong enough mantra that they say over and over again, that they can mysteriously, magically make something appear. I do believe that you will and can manifest in proportion to your beliefs and your thoughts and your feelings. And feelings have to be intensely felt and tied with your thoughts, not just going through rote repetition of things you're saying. We'll talk about that. But I love what Maya Angelou said. I had the opportunity of meeting her when I was in college, before she actually was really famous. And she said, nothing will work if you don't work. Nothing will work if you don't work. And so the things that I'm going to present to you are critically important because they will help you work better. They will help you get motivated to do the things that you need to do. Because if your beliefs change, your thoughts will change, you will feel differently. And it's those feelings that create motivation for you. Does that make sense what I'm saying, gang? Give me a thumbs up if that makes sense, what I'm saying, if there's anything that resonated. And even something in the comment. If I say something that resonates with you, share it in the comment. Mike, you said this, or just quote it and put it right there in the comments so that other people can look at that as well. All right. I'm glad. Perry, thank you for your comment that you love my concept. Listen, I was at the bottom of my barrel, the end of my rope, and I'm not saying that lightly. I was absolutely desperate. That's why I know that what I'm sharing with you works. I have been doing this now for years, and it has literally transformed my life. I have a new book coming out called Here's How, and I go into a whole lot of detail about all of this stuff, about your own kidnapping, your own your life being lured away, and taken down a path that you didn't expect to go. So whatever level of success you're experiencing, you can go higher, you can go deeper, you can go further. Whatever level of struggle you're experiencing, pain, the problems that you're experiencing, and to think about those 7 areas of life, you can break free from those. You do not need to be a prisoner for life. Here's the problem. There's such a thing as Stockholm Syndrome. And it's the thing that happens to somebody when they're kidnapped. They actually fall in love with their kidnapper. And they don't even realize what's happened. The outside world begins to be enemies. The people who are trying to do the negotiating, the hostage negotiating, they become the enemies. It's called Stockholm Syndrome. It's a psychological thing that happens to somebody once they're kidnapped. And this is probably what's happened to you. It's happened to me too. Without realizing it, you fall in love with your current way of life. Ouch, Mike, you're hurting me. You fall in love with your current way of life and you forget that real love is not in your kidnapped condition. Does that resonate with you? It's true. You've got to be aware of the potential. The Stockholm syndrome affecting you, where you settle for far less than your greatest potential. Let's get into some of these questions. Somebody asked how you overcome limiting beliefs about money. You do that with an affirmation. You do that with changing your thoughts and tracing it back to beliefs by doing some deep thinking about where are these thoughts coming from. Your thoughts are a reflection of your beliefs. Your emotions are a reflection of your thoughts. And so you follow the breadcrumbs. And the breadcrumbs will lead you to the mother lode, which is that loaf of bread, which is your belief system. Your belief system. So that's how you change your limiting beliefs about money, for example. Here's my signature, original, pieced together from things I heard from other people, but in my own wording, my signature affirmation. I'm so happy and thankful now that money, friends, and influence come to me with increasing amounts on a continuous basis from a variety of sources. Why am I covering my eyes? Because I want you to know that this is coming from here and in here, not out there on some piece of paper, right? I'm so happy and thankful now that money, friends, and influence come to me in increasing amounts on a continuous basis from a variety of sources. Now, I will say that out loud when I'm driving in my car, when I'm exercising, when I'm walking. Through the course of the day, I will sometimes have a fear about maybe I'm not going to make enough money. Maybe I have a health issue. We had a crisis, potential crisis in our family, a scare several weeks ago where one of us had to have a variety of tests done. And fortunately, they came back gave us a sigh of relief, okay? But throughout the course of your day, there are things that you feel, there are thoughts that you have that are frightening, they're disheartening, they're discouraging. That is the moment when you introduce the affirmation. We're going to talk about affirmations, Lord willing, either in this time or in our next time together. And by the way, you want to make sure that you text the word. What is that word that you text? I can't remember. I will, for those of you who know, who are watching the videos and the supplemental materials, and the reason why I'm saying this is because we had a glitch. We had a glitch with our materials here where I had them before we started and we lost them. For those of you who are using the free materials where you text the certain word, which is I'm spacing out now, to 864-572-7220. Remember that, gang? 864-572-7220. This is the number. I'm putting it up in the chat section here. But there's a particular word that you text that number and you get all the access. This is Ild exclusive stuff. This is stuff that costs other people hundreds of dollars. You're getting it free, but you won't get it if you don't access it, right? So one of you who's done that already, what is the word that you text that number? Help me out here. Help me out here. And you'll be able to get that, okay? So you introduce a affirmation in the area of life where you're struggling. You introduce that affirmation in that area of life. It's bonuses. Thank you. Martha, you're awesome. Here you go. Text the word bonuses to that number, 864-572-7220. You get all of them free, but you get none of them if you don't do that, okay? So take advantage of that. I go into this stuff even in more detail. So you introduce that affirmation in the area of life where you're struggling. You don't just introduce the affirmation, you have to do it with emotion. So I don't just go, I'm so happy and thankful now that money, friends, and influence come to me in increasing amounts on a continuous basis from a variety of sources. I've said it so much because of where I was emotionally in my thought life that I can do it in my sleep. You wake me up at night, I'm going to do that. But you say it with emotion. What do you mean you say it with emotion? You say it with passion. I am so happy and thankful now that, and you say with a smile on your face, see what I'm doing with my hands? And I'm getting my posture involved, getting my facial expression involved. Why? Because all of that, whether it's posture, whether it's facial expression, it's the sound of my voice, you are listening to your self-talk, whether you know it or not. You might as well give yourself something great to listen to. And that's the value of that affirmation. You get your face involved, you get your voice involved, you get your posture involved, and your subconscious mind picks that up. It's that sponge that picks all of that up. And if you repeat that again and again and again with passion and conviction, I'm so happy and thankful. I'm driving in my car. Now that money comes to me in increasing amounts on a continuous basis from a variety of sources, I'm so happy and thankful. Now that friends come to me in increasing amounts on a continuous basis from a variety of sources. You see what I'm saying? And you do it with emotion, right? Now you might say to yourself, but what if I don't feel like it? That's the whole point. Of course you're not going to feel like it. The point is to get yourself from not feeling like it to where you do feel like it. And when you develop consistency, if you persist and insist, this will become your new way of life. It's happened for me. It's happened for others that I've mentored, that I coach. This will happen for you. It's not something that's going to take place depending on how deeply entrenched, how deeply kidnapped you've been, that it's not going to happen overnight for you, but you need to persist, okay? Some of the questions are going to help you answer questions that you might have, some things that you might have for yourself. Here, I want to bring this up to your attention. As your thoughts digress to a state that you can recognize as thinking, what's your mantra? What's the statement that you plug in to replace that thought? I just gave you an example of my signature one. You can customize that any way you want. Let's say you have a health fear. I'm so happy and thankful now that I have good health. I'm so happy and thankful now that I am healthy and happy. I'm so happy now that I am healthy and I'm whole. You might be fighting a disease. You might be fighting an illness. This is exactly what you do. You introduce the affirmation, the positive affirmation, in the ground zero. Think of those 7 areas of life again. In the ground zero area where you're having the struggle, where you are having the pain, where you're having the problem. So think about the 7 areas of life, the area of life where you're having a particular struggle. At your ground zero, you introduce a new affirmation, a positive affirmation in that particular area. And if you text that word bonuses to 864-572-7220, you will see samples, examples of positive affirmations. Okay? That's exactly what you do. Somebody asked here, when do you notice when it's time for the next leap? Well, I spent a lot of time in our first masterclass talking about thoughts and feelings or emotions and habits. I've since then, and even before that, gone even deeper to a deeper understanding that your thoughts actually come from deeply seated beliefs, your worldview, how life works. That's where your thoughts come from. So how did I recognize that? When the student is ready, the teacher arrives. When you put what I'm talking about into practice, you will realize when it's time for you to go to that next place. That makes sense, okay? Somebody asked here, what's the best techniques for creating new neural networks? Exactly what I'm telling you. This is one of the most powerful, potent ways, you guys, to develop new neural pathways. This is why it's called neuroplasticity. Your mind is actually flexible. They used to think that you could not change the physiology, the shape of your brain, or create new neurological pathways. We now know that that's not true. And by the way, did you know that there are 100 billion known stars in the Milky Way galaxy? The sun is one of them. 100 billion stars in the Milky Way galaxy. We now know that there are at least 100 billion galaxies. Your brain, think about that. Your brain has more connections than there are stars in the universe. And the way you develop new connections is exactly by what I'm telling you. Because what happened is, going back to the kidnapped idea, your belief system has kidnapped you, where you believe false things, incomplete things, self-sabotaging things, undermining things about yourself, about life, about your spouse, about how successful you can be. You then develop sabotaging, reinforcing thoughts that reinforce that belief system. Confirmation bias. Yep, I knew that was going to happen. How many times has this happened to you where you went to somebody and you were going to show them the plan, and you're going in and you're thinking they're not going to listen to me, they're not going to come on board, they're not going to, you share the plan and they say no, or they say they're not sure, and you say, I knew it. You are predicting a future that does not yet exist. That's what you're doing. And you're doing it because your belief system is based on failure. You then have thoughts that reinforce that belief system of failure. You then develop emotions that other people pick up on. You could say it's your vibe. You know, people have vibes and things of that sort. You pick up negative emotions that you project negative emotions, you carry around negative emotions, and then guess what happens? The way you're living is beneath the level that's capable. This is exactly what I mean when I talk about being lured away and kidnapped. So this is some of the best techniques to change not only your feelings, not only your thoughts, not only your beliefs, but the behaviors that are coming from all of those. Does that make sense? Does what I'm saying make sense? Let me know if anything, if I said anything that connects with you. So this is when I notice, this is how I know that this stuff works. This is how neuroscientists know this. We're living in the golden age of cognitive research. So we know more about how the brain works than any other time in history. So we're taking advantage of this. This is what we're talking about. How do you break into an abundant mindset, an abundance mindset, to live more abundantly, to cross over into abundance forevermore? If you insist and you persist and you really get serious, gang, come over here. Come over here. Don't drift away. You really get serious about what I'm talking to you about. And you allow your stinking thinking to expose the faulty beliefs that are creating them. And if you start paying attention to your emotions and your emotional state, we call them negative emotions. There's really, now there could be an emotion that is harmful, but every emotion can be used in a helpful way if you trace it back to where it came from. Please pay attention for your own sake. I'm trying to get you out of prison. I'm trying to help you get out of your kidnapped state, okay? I know that you're in love with your current lifestyle and mindset and emotions up to this point. That's just because you're a victim of Stockholm Syndrome. I'm the hostage negotiator coming along and pleading with you. If you'll start paying attention to your emotions, they will lead you to the truth. They will not lie to you. They'll lead you to the truth of the thoughts that created them. Stinking thinking creates a rotten reality. Stinking thinking creates a rotten reality. Always does. Stinking thinking creates a rotten reality. It shows up in your emotions. It shows up, self-sabotaging emotions. It shows up in self-sabotaging behavior. This is why we lose our motivation. Motivation is a byproduct of how we feel. How we feel is a byproduct of what we're thinking. What we think is a byproduct of our deeply rooted belief system, which for most of us was kind of set in stone by the time we were 7 years old. That's okay. We're taking a jackhammer to that. We're taking a jackhammer to that. Does that make sense, what I'm saying? So this is what we're doing, right? The problem is you have an amazing mind with more connections, more neural connections than there are stars in the known universe. And by the way, when I was in school, the Milky Way galaxy was all we really knew about. Now we know there are at least 100 billion of those similar. The problem is nobody's taught you about how to use your brain. Nobody's taught you about the connection between your emotions and your thoughts and your beliefs and your habits. That's what my new book is about. Why? Because how could I not write a book on this when it literally saved my life? It's saving my life, right? I had to. And so this is the way you get into an abundance mindset. The reason why you have the opposite of an abundance mindset, a poverty mindset, is because of deeply seated beliefs. Maybe your parents had it. Maybe your parents were wealthy and you're not. Maybe because you had something that happened to you, or a multiplicity of things that happened to you, which were confirmation bias. I say, I don't want you to notice a red Volkswagen for the rest of this week. I guarantee multiples of you will see a red Volkswagen this week because I brought it up, and it's called confirmation bias. Okay? This is how you go from a poverty mentality to an abundance mentality. Listen, you have to work at this too, right? You don't go to the gym, exercise 2 or 3 times, maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and find yourself being surprised that you haven't developed any more muscle density, you haven't developed any more bone density, which gets more and more important as we age, bone density, that you haven't lost any weight, your cardiovascular conditioning hasn't changed. Nobody in their right mind would say, gee whiz, it's a total shock to me that I've been working out 2 or 3 times for 2 weeks and I'm not seeing drastic changes in my body. I just hurt more. I'm throwing in the towel. We all know that it would take several months of consistent, persistent physical exercise to reduce fat, to increase muscle, to create an increased state of how we feel. The endorphins are released in our body. The body's source of creating a feeling like a natural high. Endorphins are released when you exercise. Why is it? Please pay attention. Come back over here. Come back. Pay attention. Why is it that we believe this about physical training and conditioning, but we don't understand it when it comes to your emotions, your thought life, your brain, and your mind? I'll tell you why. Because ain't nobody sat down and explained it to you, or I should say explained it to you the way I'm doing it right now. I'm telling you, this will change your financial status, it'll change your relationships, it can change your health, everything about you. Again, I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm giving you information based on the people that I've helped, and first and foremost, helping myself. The reason why you have a poverty mentality or something less than an abundance mentality is because you've allowed yourself to be kidnapped, and you're reinforcing that. How do you personally bridge and connect the emotion back to the specific subconscious thoughts? I've just been showing that to you. Your subconscious is picking up things all around you throughout the course of the day. How many times have you heard a song playing in your mind that you weren't even thinking about, courtesy of your subconscious? You consciously listened to that song in the past. Your subconscious is now replaying it. So what you choose to do at a conscious level with the affirmations, for example, said in a with in the present tense, by the way, I am. You say it in the present tense, and saying them with emotion and facial expression and posture. When you do that at a conscious level, it will come back eventually. If you persist and insist, it will change your life. They'll come back at a later time at a subconscious level, right? So that's what I'm reading some of your comments here. So that's how that works. Somebody said, as I built a lifestyle that needs my big attention, home, money, cleaning, children, clients, then frustrated that things don't move fast enough. It's a merry-go-round. To move on your gut instinct and yet not have enough time to make your move forward in a large way. I totally understand that. Here's what you can't afford to do. You can't afford to keep doing what you're doing because you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. If you guys will get serious, and by the way, other people were invited to hear what you needed to hear. If you will get serious about what I'm sharing right now and really implement this, if you will use the bonus materials that Actually, they're not free. They're free to you, right? This is a gift to David and to April and to the ILD team. If you will use those bonuses, when you text the word bonus, it's right here. Go back up and you'll see the phone number, 864-572-7220. You'll see examples of this and you persist. That's what this is all about. If you want to get physical conditioning results, you have to be persistent. You have to be consistent. If you want to get mental, mindset, and emotional results, you have to be persistent. You have to be consistent. Listen, guys, I was at the end of my rope. I'm telling you, I was at the end of my rope. Like literally. I had to do the things that I'm telling you to do over a period of months, about 18 months, because that's how deeply entrenched I was, to see myself turn the corner. If you persist and you insist, you'll see changes. I absolutely promise you. I guarantee you. April, are there any other questions? You guys have other questions? Now's a good time for you to start texting any new questions you might have to April. And that number is 206 391 8019. 206 391 8019. I want you to text a question or a comment that you might have. So we can go over that in our next time together. I know that some of you have also been messaging me, and I want to make sure you've been messaging me. It could be about a variety of things. Bonuses. Yeah, all of you have been texting the word bonuses. So that's great. Thank you. Okay, so trauma and repetition. Trauma and repetition are two of the biggest culprits for what create our belief system. And most of this happens from the time we are born to the time we're 7 years old. For example, I was nearly lured away and kidnapped when I was 4 years old. I have a fear of not being safe. Imagine that. Where did that come from? Right? And then what happens is you begin to have thoughts that reinforce that belief, that fear. Confirmation bias begins to creep in, where you think, well, I'm not surprised that this happened because this has been my experience in life. Whatever your experience has been in life in your kidnapped state up to this point, I want to encourage you that there is freedom. There is a way out. You do not have to keep settling for being sick and tired, for being in a state of poverty, for being in a situation that is less than your ideal. Remember your dreams? A lot of us are living a nightmare because we embraced somebody else's belief system. We adopted it and we ran with it and we never questioned it. And that's why we stay in a kidnapped state. It really preaches, doesn't it? This idea of being kidnapped, it really makes sense. If that makes sense and that resonates with you, let me know, please. I know it does for me. You cannot afford to keep doing what you're doing. This is the way, a key way, central to manifesting different results in your relationships, your finances, your health, your career, right? What you're doing, your rest and recreation. This is how manifestation actually happens. Because this is what's going to help you work harder. It's what's going to help you get motivated. You see, a lot of people out there will try to sell you a bill of goods by telling you about manifesting, that it's just about concentrating and focusing and not working. Just rest and relax. You can see all kinds of stuff on YouTube about that. It's a bunch of nonsense. We have 24 hours in the course of a day to use wisely. What I'm helping you understand is that affirmations and visualization, intensely visualizing. Let's go over how an affirmation is done correctly, right? You intensely envision the future as if it is already reality, already right now. You don't say I'm going to, you say I am. I am so happy and thankful. Now that, see, I did it twice in that affirmation. I am so happy and thankful now that, and then you fill in the blank. You use present tense, you vividly imagine it as already being done. You say it with emotion. You get your face involved, facial expression, your posture, because when you're like this, it sends a message to your subconscious mind that you're defeated and discouraged. Yes. And then what happens is you feel defeated and discouraged. So watch your posture during the day. When you do this, it sends a message back to your subconscious mind that now your subconscious mind that might have been feeling discouraged, defeated, anxious, whatever the case might be, I have to make a choice because that's not a posture that supports and reinforces what I'm feeling. This is why I say if you persist and insist. So all of these things, what you're doing is you're creating a multi-pronged attack mechanism. You're launching war by land, sea, air, and ground. You're using every means available, your facial expression. It's hard to be depressed and discouraged continually. Now, if you're feeling depressed and discouraged, you should probably see your healthcare professional, right? I'm not giving you medical advice, but I'm saying this. It's very difficult to be anxious, discouraged, if you put this on your face. And I guarantee you're watching right now, look at me. If I were there, I bet a smile just cropped up on your face because I just influenced you. It's very hard to maintain a negative emotion if your posture and your facial expression and what you are focusing on and your affirmations, what you're saying, your self-talk that's out loud in the present tense is contrary to that. Because now what you're doing is you're setting your subconscious, well, I'm going to take care of that facial expression. Oh, but now here's spoken word that I have to deal with. And now there's posture that I have to deal with. And now there's vividly used imagination that I have to deal with. You see what I'm saying? When you introduce each one of these, you are overwhelming. It's overwhelming force that your subconscious mind, this is how you retrain it. This is how you train your mind and your emotions and your thoughts. In the same way that you would do it with your body, physical conditioning, you're doing mental and emotional conditioning. Does that make sense, gang? Does that make sense? Thank you, Joseph. It does make sense. I mean, what I've done is I've taken some of the most complex ideas and try to boil them down into easy to remember ideas that you can immediately implement. Okay. So look at it this way. Look at it as a train. Here's your belief system. Your belief system is pulling immediately behind it is the car of thoughts. Immediately after your thoughts are your emotions, your feelings. Immediately after your feelings are your behaviors. Your behaviors. And this, my friend, this whole train is the momentum of your life. If you want to change your momentum, what you do is you change your belief system. Mike, how do I change my belief system? The light bulb's gone on for me. Has that happened for anybody? The light bulb's gone on for me. How do I change my belief system? Everything I'm talking about is how you do that. You work it backwards. You look at what you're doing. Why is my behavior not what I want it to be? My emotions are supporting that behavior. My emotions are not happening in a vacuum. They're coming from the thoughts that I've been having, my self-talk. See the value of positive affirmation? Here's the truth. You've been doing affirmations your whole life. People say, oh, that's just positive thinking. What's the alternative to that? Negative thinking, stinking thinking. You've been doing affirmations your whole life. And you've been doing them very well. You've been using your imagination vividly. Be honest. What I'm saying is, take what you've been very good at and begin to consciously direct it at something you haven't been very good at. Introducing a positive affirmation in a negative situation, emotionally, behaviorally, insist and persist. And you will see your behaviors and your emotions change. It took me about 18 months to turn the corner. Mike, that's too long. If you don't work at this now, I'll tell you where you're going to be 18 months from now. You're going to be 18 months older and you're going to be struggling with the same things. Now, it might take you less. It depends on how deeply entrenched you are, right? Start with one area of life where you're struggling, where there's pain and there's a problem. Introduce a positive affirmation to overtake the negative affirmation that you've been allowing, that Stockholm syndrome, that you've been in love with that negative affirmation. You just don't realize it. And this is how you start to develop new neurological pathways in your brain, because the path of least resistance is the one that we continually go down. And you just reinforce and you reinforce and you reinforce it. So the new thought is not going to come immediately. The new emotion is not necessarily going to come immediately, but I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you, I would not lie to you. If you persist and you insist, you will win. You will win if you don't quit. I'm telling you. Tina says, I ask often to people daily, do you remember your childlike dreams? Most often people say no, or they would never happen. That's thinking. Fight the war. Absolutely. ILD is all about turning a dream into reality. It's great to dream, but we don't want it just to be a dream, right? I'm telling you, if you allow your deeply seated sabotaging beliefs to continue to do what they've been doing with your thoughts and your self-talk, the things that you're affirming, the negative affirmations and the emotions that they're creating, the sabotaging emotions and thoughts, your life is going to continue to be a nightmare. Oh, Mike, my life's not a nightmare. Bear with me here. You're not even going to realize it. This is how you change your life, my friends. This is how you change your life. I want to look at a couple more things here. How does persistence play a role? The questions are rolling in here. How does persistence play a role with one's personal emotions? It has everything to do. Everything to do. The reason why, first of all, you should not ignore your emotions. They will not go away. They'll come back with a vengeance. And by the way, I was just reading something by Carl Jung, who talked about that very same thing. I didn't even know that. Why? Because this is truth that I'm talking to you about, right? Your emotions, negative emotions, you should never ignore them. They're trying to get your attention. What do you mean, Mike? They're trying to get you to focus on their source. Where are they coming from? They can be from legitimate hurts, legitimate wounds, legitimate things that have happened. They can also be from illegitimate things that have happened. If they're from legitimate things or illegitimate things, we can always learn from them, right? The idea is to use your emotions to your advantage. If you ignore your teeth, they'll go away, right? They will. And it's pretty nasty the way they go away. But if you ignore your feelings, they will not go away. Your feelings will come back with a vengeance. And so this is a great question, whoever asked this. How does persistence play a role with one's personal emotions? I'm showing you how to be persistent in introducing new thoughts through affirmations. Affirmations are the vehicle through which you're changing your thoughts and your belief system. Does that make sense? Kenneth asked that question. Thanks for asking that. Does that make sense what I'm saying there? This is not something like as a masterclass. This is why I said it's not really right to call it a masterclass. This is like a life-changing paradigm for you. This is not like, hey, I saw the masterclass and I listened to what you said and everything, and I got the bonuses and I watched the videos and I used the downloads and stuff. What I'm saying is, if you really get serious about this, the way I got serious about it in my own life, your entire life is going to change, my friend. Your entire life. I go so far as to say one of the reasons why you could be stuck in ILD with where you are, the level that you're at, is because nobody's come along and helped you identify and understand what I'm teaching you right now. This is mission critical for your life. I'm telling you, It works because it's how we're wired. Eric says I was a 1 and 3 meter diver in high school and college, and this is how I learned how to overcome the fear to learn new and difficult dives. This is good stuff. So thank you. Let's talk about it this way. This is in my new book as well. It's coming out. Why is it okay that Olympic athletes and professional athletes are taught about visualization and it's okay for them, but when it comes to something that's important off the court, off the field, we don't even think about it twice? And if I can say this as somebody who was a pastor, unfortunately, in many religious circles, we demonize visualization as if it's something bad because we're not relying on the architect. When the truth of the matter is that you're already really good at visualization. It's just a matter of what you're visualizing. Why is it okay to visualize negative stuff and failure and struggle and defeat? Why is it okay to visualize those things? But it's not okay to visualize freedom and success and happiness and peace and wealth. What is wealth, by the way? It's the freedom to do whatever you want with whoever you want, whenever you want. You should write that down. That's an original. That's an original. Wealth is not just about money. Wealth is having the freedom to do whatever you want with whoever you want, whenever you want. In increasing levels, right? In increasing levels. So all of us have one degree of wealth or another. The more freedom you have to do what you want with whoever you want, whenever you want, the wealthier you are. My friend, somebody's going to tell you, that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. It's a good thing. The path has changed even since my first master class. I'm so glad, Lisa. I'm so glad. I'm so glad to see that. Other questions or comments? Last chance for a question or comment that you have. I want to respect your time. I'm going to bring David and April back here in just a second. David and April, I want to bring you back on here, so get ready if you don't mind. This is really important for you to hear again, that nothing will work if you don't work. You can want your life to change all you want and just think it's just by sitting in your chair and doing what I'm telling you to do. It is mission critical to do what I'm doing. It is important to be persistent, right? But nothing will work if you don't work. The things that you're being told that you need to do in ILD, read, listen, talk to your mentor, talk to your coach, listen to your mentor, listen to your coach. The process for ILD is not rocket science, but you've got to get some fed up fuel and you got to put it into that rocket ship of your success. And the fed up fuel, my friend, is that you have been lured away and you have been kidnapped in life to settle for. Please listen to me because I care about you. You need to care about you. You have been lured away and kidnapped to settle for far less in your life than your greatest potential. It is high time that somebody, starting with you, starts to replace sabotaging beliefs, sabotaging thoughts, sabotaging emotions, sabotaging behaviors with self-supporting, successful behaviors, emotions, thoughts, and beliefs. That's how you get yourself out of a rut. That's how you develop new pathways that get you out of the neurological brain ruts that you're in. It took you a long time to develop the beliefs, the thoughts that are reinforcing those beliefs, the emotions that come with those thoughts and beliefs, the behaviors that come with those thoughts and beliefs. It will take you some time to retrain yourself, but that's exactly what this is all about. Mind training, mindset training, emotional training. If you persist and you insist, you too will succeed. I promise you. Because if I had not done these things, my friends, please listen to me as I wrap this up and I get ready to bring David and April back. There's probably somebody you know too that missed tonight in your downline or upline that should have been here. They don't want to miss the third one, that's for sure. I'm telling you that this works. The reason why I'm so passionate about this is because the stuff that I was told to work, and I'm not being belittling in any way, shape, or form. Pray more, read a certain book that's affiliated with that faith, do that, and that's going to help you. There's also some things about intrinsically the way we're designed or the way that we evolved, depending on what you believe. We are somehow fashioned for success because if your ancestors, who were primordial ooze, for example, if you believe in evolution, could see the future which has you in it, that primordial ooze would be oohing and awing and would have no other conclusion than to say the evolutionary process is designed to lead towards success. And if you're a person of faith as I am, and you believe in creation, clearly, the way that I'm talking about, this is stuff of how you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are designed this way. I'm just helping you understand about your design so you can use it to your advantage. Does that make sense? If I hadn't learned these things, please listen, and I'm going to bring David and April on right now. If I hadn't learned these things, we would not be doing a masterclass tonight. And you probably would have never even heard of my name. Not that my name is important. I'm just telling you that I probably wouldn't be around. It's part of the evidence. What I'm telling you works. You have to persist. You have to insist, and you'll have a new life. You'll have a different life. I want to bring your fearless leaders on. David and April, you look marvelous, by the way. You look fantastic. You look like superstars. You are.
Oh, so kind.
Appreciate that.
I'll just start for a second, just say, wow. I mean, I know everybody took a ton of notes because I sure did. And I'm definitely stealing the fed up fuel because my go-to emoji is the rocket ship. So it went perfect with my emoji. So a lot of times we'll just say, you know, when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, but it's like, you know, you got to get that fed up fuel and then you really take off in this. So I just encourage you all that take what you just got. I mean, this has been one powerful hour and you have a function coming up in a week. So take that fed up fuel, pack it in your rocket and get one more person to the function. So put it in action, like Michael said, and watch things explode for your business. What do you have to say, Drew?
Well, I really appreciated how Michael described the number of interconnections within the human brain to greater than all of the stars of the entire galaxies of the universe, which who knows how big that really truly is, because years ago I had learned the idea that our human brain, our cognitive abilities would take a computer the size of the Empire State Building and the Niagara Falls to cool it. It would be so heated up from its usage for computations and thoughts and creations and so forth. Well, with what Michael said, I think it could very well be that we would have to have a computer the size of the entire planet of the world, the Earth, in order to have the computing power or beyond of what this brain is capable of. And through every book that you've read over the years and more that are coming your way, you know that you are designed and created for success, because the architect, as Michael refers to the ultimate power of the creator in you, that he designed you to be self-governing with the capabilities, with various gifts and talents and abilities to be able to do great and mighty things. However, the computer must be programmed properly, And with this Stockholm syndrome, he's talking about brilliant analogy. You have been held back by not only your own devices, but the programming from the time you were a child right up until this point, to the point now that if there's any force that could go against your capabilities, that force has learned to train you to be self-restraining, muzzled by your own thoughts and words that result in not optimizing the deeds and the actions and activities that could release the infinite power that rests within you to do great and mighty things, not only for you, but more than that, for those around you, to touch people in such miraculous ways so that your business and your abilities have the capabilities to create friendships and value added input into the lives of people all over the planet. When you have the force multiplier of Amway and ILD working together with what Michael is training us on today, it's going to take that habit force. You think, well, I got to do my biceps muscles and I got to do my triceps and so forth and so on. You got to work this mind so that you're the real success in the mind that Michael spoke of, and will continue to reinforce in the next class, becomes natural, as if it is just like water flowing down a brook, water flowing over a waterfall. It's a natural form of energy that becomes empowering to you, life-changing to you. And because it's life-changing to you, your world opens up to an awesome kaleidoscope of opportunity that's way beyond your dreams, but a vision greater than your dreams. Thank you, Michael. Anthony,
Awesome tonight.
I know you like to be called Mike, but I mean, basically, based on the status of what you taught here, Michael, I'm calling you Michael out of respect, because it's
Sure,
a
Mike.
it's a powerful name, Michael, and it's a powerful message. And your wife, I am absolutely sure, is so incredibly proud of you, and she is part of the power of you, the power of two together, that gives you such great impact with this message, this life-changing message. So thank you, believe in you, appreciate you, love you, and thank you for all that you're doing for others and what you're doing for the leadership of ILD through these master classes. You are the best. Love you.
You're the best. I love what you said, force multiplier. Gang, I'll leave you with this thought. First of all, thank you for your time. Love you guys. You got people to teach this to, beginning with yourself. This is a force multiplier. I believe that what we talked about tonight is the missing link in any and every one of those 7 areas of life. This is what will multiply the outcome of all your effort. This is what will change your effort. And the beauty is, it's from the outside in and it's from the inside out, right? And what you said, like it's water flowing down, I'm telling you, if you persist and insist, it will become automatic to you. For me now, I recognize a negative thought when it's yards away from me. And it doesn't even get in anymore. Now, there are times when I fail, but that's what will happen for you. It will be like water. That's what we mean when we say your new way of life. Now, get out there, make a difference. I love you. Keep looking up, everybody. No place else worth looking. Keep moving forward. Bye-bye.